So there are no conflicts, and so what I propose is that I ask for any people who wish to stand as chair. Ted Hardy has already indicated his willingness to stand as chair. Is there anybody else who wishes to stand as chair for the foundation board? Now, normally at this point, we would, I hear nothing. Normally at this point, we would ask any observers to leave and also the candidates to leave in order to have a discussion. However, since the personnel of the foundation board and the personnel of the Internet Society board are the same, and since Ted is also the chair of the Internet Society board and has received some feedback yesterday, I wonder whether anybody has feedback that they wish to discuss before we start doing a shuffle off and on Zoom. I am hearing nothing. Therefore, I propose that the board proceed to the election. Right? Kevin then will distribute the ballots and we can proceed through the same election as yesterday. Oh, sorry. Maimuna, did you have something you wanted to say? Okay. All right. So Kevin, perhaps you can distribute the ballots and we can proceed with the election of the chair.
Okay, if you will go to your homepage or to the work room for the foundation board, you will see under polls and surveys a ballot for voting for the board chair, foundation board chair.
And as a reminder from yesterday, you may need to refresh the page load.
Okay, we have the results in. May I share the results?
Yes, please do.
Not sure if you can all see that. It is 12 votes for Ted Hardy.
So congratulations, Ted. Thank you for your willingness to serve. And I now turn the operation of this meeting over to you as the new chair of the Internet Society Foundation.
Thank you very much, both for the Conference of the Trustees and for setting things up. Andrew, following Andrew's lead, I will point out that the next item of business is similar, as it's the election of the officers of the board. Similar to last meeting, we have made the agreement in the past that there would be no need to appoint a secretary to the board from among the trustees, since the corporate secretary could serve that function. Therefore, ask today whether there is anybody who wishes to revisit that decision or whether we wish to confirm that we will not elect a board secretary. Okay, seeing no challenge to that decision, we will consider it confirmed. The next item of business is to elect a treasurer. Laura Thompson has previously indicated her willingness to serve and currently serves as the treasurer of the ISOP Board of Trustees. Is there anybody else who wishes to offer to serve as treasurer? Seeing no volunteers, and since Laura has similarly received feedback yesterday, is there anybody who wishes to have a confidential session in order to develop feedback to provide to Laura? Seeing none, we can now proceed to the election. Kevin, if you would once again set up the election, and folks, if you would return to your Board Effect or ISAC Foundation page and refresh when he lets you know.
You should be able to see the ballot now.
Sorry, I am unable to bring that up. I don't know why.
George, if you're trying to refresh the page that said to vote for the chair, you actually have to go back to the board effect. That is the agenda for the foundation meeting, and then refresh that. And at the bottom of that will be the ballot for treasurer.
Or you can click the home button and then refresh that, and that will, if you scroll to the bottom, have the same thing.
I'm sorry, it is downloading the agenda to my download folder and doing nothing else. May I just declare a vote for Laura?
Yes, you may.
I do that.
Does that bring us to 12, Kevin?
It does. Let me project the results here. So you have 11 out of 12, and then George makes 12.
Thank you very much, Laura, for your willingness to serve. I look forward to serving with you in your new role. The next item on our agenda is related to the appointment of the committee chairs and members. The committee chairs and members were distributed with the agenda. So if you have the agenda, you can review those now. A question similar to yesterday's question, are we willing to take a single vote to approve all of those? Or is there anybody who would like to have a breakout vote in order to discuss a specific committee membership or chair position?
Bring them all as one sounds good to me.
George, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I noticed that Gonzalo is in this list. Am I reading the same list you are? I think I am.
Which committee do you see him in?
Compensation. Finance.
No,
No, the compensation committee was chaired by the incoming board chair with members of Richard Barnes, Brian Haberman, and Mohammed Shabir.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm looking at something else. I withdraw.
Okay, is there anybody else who has a question about this set of committee chairs and members, or who would like to take these one by one? Seeing none, then I'll ask for a vote on this by three positions. Yes, no, and abstain by raising of hands, with Mohammed raising the hand tool in lieu. So if you support the appointment of the committee chairs and members as presented, please raise your hands now. Thank you. And Mohammed, we have seen your hand in the tool. If you wish to oppose or say no to that, please raise your hand now. If you wish to abstain, please raise your hand now. Thank you. This passes. The next is to approve the minutes of the previous board meeting. For that, the resolution reads, resolved that the minutes of the 11th meeting of the ISOC Foundation Board of Trustees held by video conference on the 8th of July 2021 are approved. May I ask for someone to move the motion? So Brian move and Richard second. Once again, may I ask those in favor of the motion to raise their hands now? Any opposed? Raise your hand now. Any abstain? Mohammed, I did not see a position from you on any of the three. Do you wish to record a position?
Chair, I vote for yes.
Thank you, Mohammed. The next item, item 6 on the agenda, is action items from the 2021 Foundation Board. And the purpose of this is to accept a summary of the agreed board action items from the 2021 Foundation Board of Trustees. Again, this is not binding on this board. It is merely an indication that we have received this information from the previous board. The outgoing Board of Trustees conveys to the incoming Board of Trustees a list of priorities, which had a single item in it for this list. Continue to support the approved foundation programs. The resolution for this reads, accept a summary of agreed board action items from the 2021 Foundation Board. Resolved, the ISOC Foundation Board of Trustees accepts the summary of agreed board action items as conveyed by the 2021 board. May I ask somebody to move the motion? George and Pepper seconds. May I ask all in, I suggest we approve this by acclamation. Mike, your hand is up. Is that for the acclamation, or is that, did you have a point to make? That was for the acclamation. Thank you. Okay, with the acceptance of that, we move on to the much more substantial part of the meeting with the updates from the executive director. Sarah, as we turn this over to you, let me first say thank you very much for the video and the report that you've already given. That were very helpful and certainly heartening to see so much progress on the part of the foundation over the past year. All of the programs seem to be doing extraordinary things, and it's great to see how much you've accomplished over such a short period of time. Thank you.
Ted, thank you very much. I would agree, we've accomplished a lot. And I must say, first of all, congratulations, Ted. I'm really looking forward to working with you as our new chair. So looking forward to that. And I know we've all met and talked before because we did our orientation together, but I do want to say hello and welcome officially to your first ever foundation board meeting. We try to make these as informative and fun as possible with a lot of energy because we are as you just heard from the ISAC board meeting, extremely excited about the work we're doing and extremely passionate about it. So I do want to be sure to thank you all for looking forward to working with you and how great it's going to be to get different perspectives on the work that we're doing. So with that, I do want to say I recognize that you've been in the Internet Society board meeting for quite a few hours, and I thank you ahead of time for your continued engagement and energy as we move forward to talk about the work of the foundation. So thank you for that, and I will try to keep the energy up the whole time and engage everybody as much as possible. So, and I did invite Connie Kendag, who is our operations director, to join us. She has a lot to do with the closed session of the meeting, which is going to be about where the foundation's going to go from here. And because she played such a critical role in that, I thought it would be very helpful for her to join us and listen and participate in the conversation about where the foundation is now, as opposed to where it's going. I shall pause right now because I see Mike has a hand up. Is that a question?
Sorry, that's a legacy hand. I have to remove it now.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I will then ignore legacy hands. You just need to make that clear for me. Okay. So as it was mentioned by Ted, I did send ahead a video taped presentation for all of you to see where it is that the foundation is against its 2021 objectives. When we did our orientation, I went through with you what our vision is, what our mission is. I took you through the objectives for the 2021 action plan. And then I said, okay, here's where we are. So I gave you a slide that was general overview of how we were completing or addressing the different objectives. And then to Ted's point, I gave you a lot of information about the different programs we are funding. I would love to hear comments, questions, anything that anybody has about where we are today. So with that, I will pause and see if there are questions, comments, anything that someone would like to discuss about the Internet Society Foundation at your first official meeting.
So I did want to follow up quickly on the point you made with Help NGO, which I think was very helpful. And I think the point you were making that there was a second grant to them this year was very useful. But I was sort of wondering if we might consider, for those where there's a connectivity aspect, to structuring the grants from the beginning to include maybe in just the initial grant, the maintenance money to keep them going for a certain period of time. Because I think one of the kind of risks you have in this situation, I think Brian also pointed out this risk, is that sometimes you have the money, the seed money to get something going, but without the continued funding being guaranteed, you run into a situation where there's a bit of a risk that it just immediately closes back down for a short period. So just a suggestion that maybe when you do the co-creation with Help NGO, you start thinking about whether packaging into those initial grants for connectivity some aspect of ongoing maintenance, that might be a way to make sure that the impact of the grant remains high in the successive years. Thanks.
First of all, Ted, thank you for your email. And I did respond in writing for everybody to see the points to which Ted is referring right now. I think it's an excellent point. As you know, we are testing, learning, and adapting. For those, again, I think I mentioned this in the orientation, but that is the way that the foundation works because we are new. And we started barely 2 years ago. We consider this to be our second operational year. So we are learning as we go. And certainly with the ER program in particular, to which Ted refers, we really are learning. Why? Well, that was just developed very quickly in response to a pandemic. And that was done differently than some of the other programs that we've designed. So with that one in particular, we are learning. One of the things we did learn is that we wanted, again, to Ted's point, to continue to focus on connectivity. When it comes to the COVID situation, that is critical. And while the 3 of the 4 grantees from 2020 were not focused on connectivity, one was. And that, as I mentioned in my presentation, they did ask for a second grant. So what Ted is saying is, how do we make sure that this keeps going? Well, one of the ways that we are trying very hard to keep things going is encouraging partnerships. So that is part of the solution, I believe. that if there are people, organizations that you can work with that can help the sustainability factor, that's fantastic. And in fact, one of the questions that we're adding into our Flux system, which Connie runs, she's as operations director in charge of Flux, which is our grants management system. And we are starting to talk more about who you might partner with, who you know on the ground. How can we be sure you really can help keep this going? So that's one avenue to keep it going. Another avenue could in fact be to do exactly as Ted is suggesting, is to give them another grant. Now, I don't want to give anybody another grant without an audit. As I said in the email that I sent to you all and to Ted, if we are going to continue to fund, especially at these levels, we have got to make sure that they're spending the money correctly. So fortunately, we have a great finance person who helped me do a very thorough audit on Help NGO before I was willing to award them additional funds. So that we will continue to do moving forward, to be guaranteed that our money is being used the way it was intended. So that's the thing. Now, when we get into the closed session on the 5-year forecast, and you see some of the numbers for moving forward on each of the programs, you will see that RARE does grow. Now, RARE has two components to it. One is this emergency response, and it may be therefore that we decide in 2021 or 2022 that we will continue to fund current grantees with some of that RARE money. We also will use it for resiliency, which is the new program to which I referred in the presentation. So Ted, I hope that answers your question.
It does, thank you. And I appreciate the written answer as well. I think that the audit question is maybe one that as you structure the grants, you can work out how to do the audit if they are multi-year grants, but that's something you and your team can work through.
Yes, and we are looking at that again when we look at operations cost. It may be something that we decide to bring in an outside firm or sometimes just use Sandy's team, who are terrific. But if we're going to be asking for a lot of information at the same time, we may need some outside assistance. But I need that confidence. When I saw that they applied again and I knew what great work they'd done, I just said, yeah, but this is another $500,000 and I need to be sure and confident that this is okay to do.
Okay, Richard, you're up.
Thanks, and thanks for the presentation, Sarah. As some folks have said in the chat, this is really helpful and really informative. One of the aspects that I found especially interesting, that I've seen coming for a while, is this kind of community building work you've been doing among grantees, education and connecting grantees with each other. I think that's a really valuable aspect of how the foundation is operating. I think that also actually touches on some, I don't remember if you were on the Internet Society board call just now, but we discussed a bit how that how the ISOC staff is pivoting how they think about kind of their individual members and organizational members and chapters and knitting that community together. So I wonder if there's some notes to be shared to kind of add foundation grantees and the communities the foundations interacting with to that overall societal kind of knitting together. So just a comment suggestion there.
I like the suggestion. I mean, we are a supporting organization of the Internet Society, so I think we should always be sharing learnings. And I did share several quotes with you all in the presentation to see, to Richard's point, just how much it means to the grantees. And one of our objectives is to make sure we build this community. So I love the idea, and I certainly can reach out to make sure that we're maybe just, you know, helping each other, borrowing each other's ways of doing things. I think there's another hand up, right? That's, yeah, Luis.
Yes, me.
Hey.
Yes, well, thank you. Actually, Richard asked one of the questions I had. Also, I want to congratulate the foundation for all this great work and the way you are communicating internally and externally, which is, I think, a great improvement from previous efforts. I just have a quick question. How does the foundation compares now to other funding bodies? Yes, or other grant giving organizations. Are we keeping a record of that, or is it early to start working on that comparison? Thank you.
So, Luis, that's a really wonderful question in light of the fact that we are going to be talking about going to go, because I felt it was important for me to connect with other executive directors and see some of the ways in which they've planned for the future. We are still working on how we are comparing to them because we are still working on how we are doing our work. But we feel it's exceptionally important for us to keep an eye on the space of those who work doing the same type of work or something similar, to be making sure either more connection or more accessibility or more meaningful access, as we were talking about in the ISOC board meeting. So I cannot tell you right this second how we compare exactly with others, but we are gathering more information on that, and we are going to reflect that as we get tighter and tighter on the five-year financial forecast. Cool.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments or questions for Sarah before we move into the closed session?
I'll just express one more quick desire. I won't make you put you on the spot right now, but I will be interested to learn more about the BOLD program as you elaborate that. If you had any more notes to share beyond what was in the presentation, I'd be interested to hear, but obviously I understand if that's not the case.
So just a reminder to everyone, BOLD stands for Building Opportunities and Leveraging Technologies. It was originally referred to as the Innovation Program by the Bridgespan consultants who helped us shape this foundation and made recommendations for where they thought there were holes, gaps that needed to be funded, and thus should be part of the foundation's portfolio. This innovation program, as Richard pointed out, did not have a lot of information in the program, in the presentation I made. However, we are planning some workshops. We're going to do this similarly, Pepper, you'll remember this, similarly to how we did the research work, reaching out to people, ISOC staff, board members, others, to help us decide the best way to make this a program that's unique and that furthers innovation, different ways out of the box thinking about the way in which we can achieve our mission and of course stay focused on our vision. So I'm afraid I don't have more for you right now, Richard, but I promise I will keep you posted.
That's fine. I'm super excited to be rejoining his strategic advisory committee. So hopefully I'll have a chance to contribute that way.
For those of you who are on the Strategic Advisory Committee, I will be in touch because we have regular meetings. So I keep you posted and ask you for obviously advice because you're my advisory committee. And I'm really looking forward to working with those of you who've committed to being on that.
Great, thanks very much. If there are no other questions for this section of the interaction, we can move to the closed and sort of last call for that. Okay, I understand from Kevin that there are no current observers, so we may be able to stay here, yes? So the room will be locked. The next step will be to stop the recording and then thanks everybody for the very spirited discussion in the previous session, and thank you very much to Sarah and Connie for the presentation and information. Is there any other business for the Foundation Board? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you all.